Okay, so first for the Bati Charchari. Okay, so one point we haven't really discussed much yet was the concept of balancing a prep between chili, pepper, ginger, your pungent spices, and then also balancing those with the oils in it, the cream, the heaviness. So balancing just the heaviness with the pungency. So an important concept in cooking is obviously to have all of those 6 flavors: the salty, the sweet, the sour, the bitter, the pungent. Sorry, 5 flavors. Astringent, yeah. 6? 6, yeah. Yeah, so the spice, salty, sweet, pungent, sour, bitter, and astringent. These 6 flavors are meant to be balanced within cooking. The most perceivable and most common taste within cooking is obviously the salty, and then the pungency is what you immediately. Most subjis are like that, unless it's specifically like a, I don't know, sweet and sour or something very specific. But most preps have those 2 predominant aspects of salty and pungent. So the pungency is important, but at the same time, it's very difficult to digest if it's overdone, like anything. But if the pungency is overdone, you can't eat it becomes too hot, it burns the mouth, it burns the stomach, and beyond. So you want to avoid that. And it's usually avoided through just proper knowledge of how to use your dry chili, your green chili, your chili powder, your ginger, your black pepper, whatever it may be. People that have problems with like ulcers and stuff then usually can't handle chili at all. Doesn't matter what quantity it is in. But they can't handle things like ginger and black pepper. So if you can use black pepper and ginger in place of chili, it's always better. But the luxury of chili is that you can get the pungency without any flavor along with it, or minimal flavor and minimal color as well. So with black pepper, if you're using black pepper to balance the heaviness of a prep, it usually gives a dark black color because the black pepper's black. And then the ginger, it gives a very gingery flavor, which you also don't want in many places.
Sharp.
Sorry?
Too sharp flavor.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. No. It's gingery. You don't really want that flavor too prominent, because it's an overwhelming flavor. So that's the luxury of chili, and that's why we usually use it. Okay, so with this one, why I brought it up with this one is because I'm using red chili, which I actually rarely use. In very few preps I use red chili, and it's because that it's a very intense pungency, which you don't really want in a lot of preps. It's better to balance them with green chilies. So just to get to this specifically then, you want to add your potatoes and potol first into the pot. It's dry pot. Nothing's in there. In this order exactly. Do not mess up the order. So first the potol and ginger. You can't have the pot a little hot already.
Potol and ginger.
Sorry, potol and potatoes. Excuse me. For this amount, I'm going to give you some kind of rough estimate, rough measurement, excuse me, of the potatoes, potol to the turmeric. So first goes your turmeric. 1, this is a teaspoon. So we're doing 1, 2. This is when it's like, oh no, what is he doing? He's putting too much turmeric. 3, we're not done yet. It's about, I would put like 3.5 in this amount. I'll stir it up and then we can see what it looks like.
Like I said, if you mind doing this, and the taste is also fine.
So, yeah.
First time you showed it, I was really thinking, is this going to be edible at all? And it's
This is a person that's been cooking for like 30 years. And he's thinking, what the heck is he doing? Alright, so that's, I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of turmeric. There's actually powder at the bottom of the thing. That's really what you want. So I used, what did I use? 3.5, was it? Yeah, 3.5 teaspoons in there. And you want that potol and potatoes completely covered in turmeric. Alright, put your chilies in and your salt. Alright, this is where it gets even weirder. No, I'm joking. Salt's just a taste. Don't put extra salt.
One spoon.
Like 3/4, I don't know. Just to taste.
Just to taste.
Okay. Get that back on the fire, and then you put your oil. So again, the order is very specific. You want to get your subjis in a hot pot. Can I get a spoon? A deep spoon. Okay.
Mustard oil.
Mustard oil. No, I didn't put that. Just 3 I put. We're gonna check it first. So this is already heating up. Very low fire, yeah? You don't want to be cooking it like this. I'm just keeping it warm. So what's happening now is your turmeric, your salt, your chili, and then your oil is in. So what's going on now is just basically marinating. Marinating your vegetables just for a couple minutes. It's not so important. But you can do it without. You can actually do this off the fire, but somehow or other I've developed this. I didn't learn it like this. I actually learned it to do everything off the fire and then put it on the fire. But I've found that if you do it like this hot a little bit, then the subjis seem to absorb the flavor more. It's just my little bit of rendition. A little bit of a speculation, possibly. So that's what it should look like. It's actually a sauce. If you notice the bottom, it's like actually a sauce of mustard oil, salt, and turmeric down there. And if you can see the amount, that's what you want. It's like a pickle. That's correct. It's actually like a pickle. Somehow or other I didn't ever make that connection, but yeah, it's like a pickle. Pickle obviously is a lot more oil, but something like that. Okay. So I just used 3 in this amount of vegetable, but that's not the point. Don't go off by measurement because some of you may have more or less. The idea is that you want a sauce, like a marination sauce down at the bottom like that. Yep. You can do this prep with any vegetable. You can do this with cauliflower. You can do it with eggplant. Just potatoes is also really nice. Potol is Potol's the one we always used to do. It's the one that I've learned originally. So that's what I usually always tend to do.
Instead of mustard, I'm just asking if you use ghee or something.
Yeah, so for like, if you do a cauliflower Bati Charchari, I would actually prefer to use ghee. You can use mustard oil, but with cauliflower and ghee, it's a nicer flavor actually. Just the potol, the flavor of the potol, the burnt potol, and then the mustard oil is amazing. But you can use ghee. Okay, I'm gonna steal your water. Oops. All right. Now this is the other important. So there's 2 things which are very important in this prep to get it right, apart from everything else. But the 2 is the amount of oil that you put and the amount of water. So if you don't put enough oil, then what happens is when it starts to, I'll elaborate on this, when it starts to burn, which it's supposed to, then it's not gonna get a fried flavor. It's just gonna be like a charcoal flavor, which is like a weird concept until you eat it. But if there's oil there, then it burns along with oil and it becomes like a dark fried flavor, which is really nice. I have difficulty explaining because everybody's looking at me like, what are you talking about? So it's kind of like I can't really make it make sense until you have it. And I don't know if there has been anybody that has really not liked it. Most people usually like it.
Smelling good.
But if you don't like it, then I'm sorry to let you down. I've really talked it up. I way over talked it if you don't like this. All right, then you just want to put your water.
Just cover it up.
Yeah, so the amount of water, the amount of water is a crucial part, because if there's too little water, then it'll be too dry and it won't.
Release the flavor.
No, the vegetables won't get the chance to get soft enough. The vegetables are supposed to be extremely soft. It's supposed to be dry, but the vegetables are supposed to be extremely soft at the end. They're not supposed to have any firmness to them. They're supposed to just, like butter in your fingers when you eat it. That's how it's meant to be. The potol, the same thing with the potol. It's supposed to be extremely soft. The skins are supposed to be soft as well. So in small quantities, it's a little bit harder to get that effect because people make the mistake of putting too much flame under, and then the water evaporates, like we were saying about the dal. The water evaporates before even the dal gets a chance to boil down, break apart. So you have to keep a small flame on here. What I always advise is put the flame up until the prep actually comes to a boil, and then lower it down to a simmer and let it simmer. This can cook for an hour and a half easily. If you can get it to cook for an hour and a half and maintain the water level for an hour and a half where it's still cooking before it starts burning, then it's the best. That's where the trick is. And that's the point of the prep, that you can put it on, and that's what I was describing earlier, the Bati CHACHARI. You can put it on the prep, put on the fire, and you can leave it for an hour and a half. You don't even have to touch it. You can come back an hour and a half later, it's completely burnt, but it tastes like heaven. I don't know. I have a feeling that it was a mistake.
There's a sweetness.
It was a wonderful mistake, but I have this feeling it was a mistake.
Yeah, sometimes dishes are, I know it that way. Somebody,
Yeah.
dal company I'm going to show you it also has a history.
We'll get to that, right? Okay, like I said, get it up to a boil, and then put the flame real low. What we'll do, I'll keep an eye on everybody, but get this on first before you do anything else. Get this on fire and just boil it like this. What we may have to do, depending on time, we may have to just crank the fire a bit and boil the water out, and just get it finished, because we may not have that amount of time. But basically, the pottles float, so you kind of have to push the pottles down to get an idea of how much water is actually in your pot. But that's what it should look like. If everybody can take a good look.
Bati Charchari.
Take a good look at it. I was actually reading a cookbook. It was a Bengali cookbook. And kid you not, this was one of the recipes. It was about jalebis. And the lady said that if you cook, it was a remedy for headaches, like morning migraines. You wake up with a migraine. This was her solution. That you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. She was very specific. It has to be 4 o'clock in the morning. You cook 12 hot jalebis in fresh ghee, and you eat 12 jalebis with a cup of water, and go back to sleep. And when you wake up, you won't have a migraine. I have a migraine every morning. In that case, I want 12 jalebis. What?
You're the one that's making it over.
Oh yeah, true. So it's just funny. Like I don't know where they come up with that. I get.
She wanted an excuse to eat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very
And she put this story. The story was that her husband, that she used to do this for her husband because her husband had a chronic migraine problem. So when those days that he had it really bad, he would wake up early, eat jalebis, go back to sleep, and then didn't have a migraine when he woke up.
She used to, and then he died.
We all have to die.
That's how it solves the migraine.
That's the only solution, really.
When you buy it.
So who knows how these things come to be, but they're good ideas. Okay, so just cover that. One last point. You want to keep it covered, let it continue boiling, and then we'll come back to it after we're done with this side over here.
Okay,